You are now being recorded.
In Dayton, I'm going to call the special meeting for the Board of Health for the town of Dayton to order. It's Thursday, January 28th, 2021 at 5:12 p.m. And if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's Tommy, you have to disconnect that when Kevin goes to talk, obviously.
And under new business, A, review, discuss, and act the SMRP grant funds for reimbursement of roll-off containers.
All right, so this is the DEP grant that we get each year for our. So this is the DEP grant we get each year for our recycling program. We have to fill in an audit.
So this is the DEP grant we get each year for our recycling program. We have to fill in an audit that's due by February 15th each year, which we're starting to work on now for this year. But we were awarded $5,400 for last year for having 9 points.
Would you go to me?
Is that better?
Maybe Rosalind's has to be put on mute.
Fixing the two that we had damage on. We now have another $5,400 here, and the price of fixing the two roll-offs was $4,500. So that was what the board had said last time. I don't know if that's still the board's feeling at this point in time, but we still have some money left over from last year. We still have another $2,500 left, I believe. So, but what we need up there right now is to fix those two roll-offs because they're starting to get, we've got pictures of them showing the holes in them and stuff, but that's where we were at. So if the board still would like to do that, we can move that along.
I think that's what we had voted for in the past, so I just want to get that done.
The vote at the meeting in the past was to grant funds were available, then to purchase, but I wasn't sure. It didn't actually say order them or order the repair, so that's why I wasn't sure if we needed to actually vote to have them repaired.
Then I would entertain a motion to get the other two repaired using the grant funds.
I'll make that clear.
Second.
I'll make that motion to repair the two roll-offs that are in need of repair.
Kevin, second?
Did you hear me? I said second.
I can't hear him.
Can you hear me?
Second that, Kev?
I did. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yep. All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
How come I can't hear Kevin?
Moving on to B, review, discuss, and act, establish an emergency response revolving account.
All right. Is that 3B?
Well, that would be you, Tom.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Let me try that one. Yeah, originally I had a thought, my discussion we had the other day at an emergency preparedness meeting. It appears we didn't have any money to get started if we wanted to do our own vaccination clinic. And it was up in the air, questionable at the time whether FEMA was going to give us any money for it and how it was going to work. Well, today we just got a notice in that FEMA will be reimbursing any towns, that communities that want to do it up 100%. However, we don't know how it's going to roll out to the community. So at this time, I think I'm going to table this one until we get some more information.
Yeah, I think that's fine as it stands now. I know with the vaccine order, everything needed to administer the vaccine is supplied. The only thing that is reimbursable is the actual personnel to administer the vaccine. And I know it is reimbursable through insurance. And I believe that, yes, they were going to add some provision under reimbursement through FEMA, but as it stands right now, communities or local boards of health are unable, or at least for the next few weeks, to even get vaccine from the state due to limited supplies. So if you want to table that, I'll entertain that
Yeah, I
motion.
do. That's a motion to table 3B.
I second that.
Great, motion to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next, under new business, review, discuss, and act Title V inspection for 2545 County Street. Todd?
All right, so I got a Title V inspection that came in that was a conditional pass. The D-box needed to be replaced. When I reviewed the floor plans for the house, there was a second kitchen in the house. So I said, well, if it's a two-family house, then I want a two-compartment septic tank as long as it's a conditional pass. And the owner is upset because that's the way he bought the house with two kitchens in it. And so he doesn't understand why he needs to upgrade it. And I told him that because it was a conditional pass, that I wanted to bring I'm not asking him to increase the size of the leaching field. I was only asking for a two-compartment septic tank or a second tank in series. But I told him I would bring it to the board to see what the preference of the board was, see how they felt about it.
Todd, real quick, you said it was a second kitchen. Does it look like a different apartment?
Yeah, the basement has a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a living room.
Okay,
So
but
it's like an in-law apartment in the basement.
does it have a different entrance and the use? Is there a wall separating them? Or is it one house?
It's one house. First floor, second floor.
Is it listed as a two-family?
Yes. They got a permit from the building department, I think, and after the fact in 2011 to make it an in-law or a two-family apartment. Yes. But at that time, nobody requested a two-compartment tank. So
If it's pre-existing, if there was an issue with the tank, then I would say they'd have to upgrade to comply. But if it's just a D-box conditional pass, then just upgrade the D-box. And if at some point down the line, either the field fails or there's a problem with the tank, then they'll have to upgrade.
anybody else?
I would agree. If it's just a D box right now. Can you hear me?
Yep. All right, I'll entertain a motion to allow the D-box repair as it's pre-existing, and let the tank remain as it's pre-existing for the Title V for 2545 County Street.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, on to the budget. Review, discuss, and act FY22 emergency preparedness budget. I believe this budget has been gone over and reviewed and approved by the emergency subcommittee.
Yeah, hold on, I'll get it up on the screen on that. All right, I'm not technologically savvy. How's that?
Yes.
Not too far. Why is it blank?
I believe this budget was level funded, correct?
Correct.
All right.
It's blank. I'm sorry, I don't know why that one's blank.
We can see it.
No, the amounts for fiscal year 22 are blank.
Oh,
That was a mistake, that fiscal year 22, they're all level funded. We didn't change any numbers, but I don't know why we gave him one that didn't have those numbers. We'll get that corrected.
Yeah, that's really.
Whoops.
I apologize, that was my fault.
All right. Well, if it's level funded, any discussion, Kevin or Tom?
no, I was actually at this meeting, so I'm good with the level funding in the budget.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for, so.
All right. Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the emergency prep budget as level funded and send to the Selectmen and Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Todd will just get that squared away in those lines.
Yep.
All right, next on the budget is the FY22 stormwater budget, stormwater committee budget.
So this one here is level funded, except for 2% raise for the superintendent and 2.5% for the full-time and part-time personnel. The overtime line was level funded. So for the net for the entire the entire budget for stormwater is like a 1.37% increase.
Oh, yeah.
Any discussion, Kevin or Tom?
I have none.
nothing.
Nothing. All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the stormwater committee budget as printed and send off to the Selectmen and Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Last one, under new business, review, discuss, and act the FY22 Board of Health budget.
All right, so the Board of Health budget is broken up into 3 parts. Section 510 is regulations and inspections, which includes my salary. 519 is the admin part of it, which includes the office manager. And 433, which is waste, which is trash and transfer station. You want to start with 510 or where do you want to go?
I'll start with 510. What's up?
All right, so 510, what you see in front of you here. It was level funded for everything except for a 2% raise to the animal inspector. And what you're seeing here is a 2% raise for the health agent, which is myself. I want to say at this point in time that I have I've been working really hard this past year, and I've actually been given it a lot of thought, and I feel that I'm at the point where I think I should be a department head, and I think I should be treated as such. And like even emails that come out for department head meetings or whatever, I don't get them. Like I'm not part of the department head process. And I feel that the Board of Health, obviously with you guys as a board, you're my boss, I get that. But I almost feel like the office needs to be a health department with a department head to run the department. And I'm not saying I can't do it all myself, because obviously I can't do it with you, the help of all 3 of you and the office manager and our nurse. But it's a lot to manage. It's a lot to run. Obviously, COVID kind of exposed the fact that, that took a lot of hours and all the rest of it. But we still managed to keep up with the rest of the office, and there's a lot to do here. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm looking for a raise, possibly more hours if the board wants me to work more hours. And like I said, I'd like to be made a department head. So I know it's a lot to absorb and a lot to discuss, and but I wanted to bring that up because now's the time, obviously, if we're going to budget anything, to put it in there now.
So I will start off in saying that I do believe you should be a department head. And really to bring the health department or the Board of Health up to current times. I don't really know many towns that have a health agent that they're not in some form a department head. And that's pretty standard now. So I'm definitely in favor of that. I would be in favor of additional hours for sure. You know, when we started a few years back and we hired Todd, it was, 25 hours a week. And that was a start. We didn't really know, where things were going to go with the department and the town. And the town continues to grow additional duties since Todd has been here, been added on to him and onto that position. So certainly an increase in hours, I don't have a problem with. And as far as an additional increase on the pay, if you're a department head, there's more responsibility on that end as well. So I think that there may be some admin issues that would have to be worked out. We'll have to talk to the Board of Selectmen or the incoming town administrator to work that out, but I'm not opposed. I'll hear from the other two members.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I also agree that we should look into the possibility of a department head, because I would like the idea of Todd managing not just the Board of Health, but finally address the transfer station, and he would oversee the transfer station. And this way, we wouldn't have to worry who's doing what, and obviously in collaboration with Tom Ferry. I think we've already addressed that we need additional hours. Just the overtime shows we need additional hours. So I think it should be 35 hours. So to just piggyback on Matt's statement, we would have to speak to the selectmen and town administrator on how to address the town administrator, the director position. But right now, we'd have to put in something for the budget as I would say 35 hours, and then we have to come up with a percentage that we think is adequate.
How is it right now? You look at the budget that you're looking at right now is for 28 hours at my current salary with a 2% raise. So I can throw in whatever number you want.
Kevin, what do you think?
Well, I was actually thinking, because this is just me now, and we'll deal with each one at a time. But I'm not sure. I believe that we're stuck to a number when it comes to raises, but obviously we can always ask for more and see how it goes from there. But like I said, we've identified the issue of we need someone there more hours, contact tracing, whatever it is. So 35 hours obviously would be a must. At the 2%, just say if it was 2%, that's $412 roughly. With the caveat, maybe
Where's he getting that?
we determine that we're looking for a department head, and then take it from the 67, move it from up there when they determine the job duties. That's just a thought, but obviously you can ask for 3%, 4%, 5%, see what happens.
Where did you get that 67,000?
I did the math where it came to if you did if you did a 2% raise at the 30, your hourly rate was 37.04, at 35 hours,
Oh, I get you.
52 weeks, that's 67,000, not counting your stipend. But we put in something with the selectmen, and they're obviously gonna say, or they should agree that department head is needed, but then we roll out a job description and who you're supervising, and then look for a base salary of up from that 67. That's just a thought. Again, I'm just trying to think overall the department, how to still be within the lines and still look for the needs of the department and take care of our employees that are working very hard.
Are 3 hours still out of stormwater?
Currently, yes.
So
And I would
we're-
assume if we increase my hours, they would want to increase my stormwater hours as part of it.
So I would say maybe 30 hours for Board of Health, 5 hours on the stormwater side.
And hopefully you get paid the same rate.
Yeah, I think it would have to. I mean, it's all in his job description, so
Okay.
it's just what lines to come out of. Although the stormwater budget's done, so I would say 32 hours then for Board of Health and then the 3 hours from the stormwater.
Yeah, but my stormwater time is not being paid out of the stormwater budget. It's being paid out of the Board of Health budget.
Okay, my opinion. I think 35 hours is necessary, if not more. That being said, increasing to department head and being the leader in the office when nobody else is here, not taking anything away from the office manager because she does a fantastic job. But we need to also get this position in line with the salaries of other department heads and other health agents across Bristol County. Now, you all know as health agents that, they're up $80,000, $90,000. And to increase the job title to department head comes along with a lot of additional responsibilities, which he's already doing over and above what he normally should be doing. So I was thinking somewhere in the $40 an hour range with 35 hours. And whether that be 3 on stormwater and 32 on Board of Health, that would be my suggestion. I think that brings them up somewhere. Right now, I think this is are you the lowest paid now, Todd? Oh, there you go. Yeah, pretty near the bottom for his duties and responsibilities. I don't think that's equitable at all with the job he has to do over here. So that's where I would put it.
Anything else, Kevin?
You know what, Tom, I really think, like, you hit it on the head. Todd is excellent what he does. I'm just trying to be realistic where I really think there's gonna be pushback. So I'm just trying to be realistic. We've gone through this. We've all fought there. We've all gone through it. So we can justify and go, because that's, if you did the math, that's 10%. So
Yeah, no matter what we go in with,
yeah,
they're gonna knock it down.
yeah. So you go in more 5%.
Go in big.
5%, you go in and then, but the understanding that we've already, I think we're all in agreement, we're looking to have it as a department head. So we'll go back to the table one more time. But to come in, I don't know, it's difficult. I've looked over the numbers over and over again. I've had conversations. I'm just trying to be more in the middle, I think, because from my understanding, it's 2%, and we keep saying 2% for everyone. Everybody's asking for 2%. If we're gonna ask for an increase, we gotta be closer to 5, 4%. 10 is a little too much, I think.
Yeah, I think that we will wind up getting quite a bit of pushback and time and place, and unfortunately, I don't see, good financial times coming up. Everything takes a while for, things to take effect. I don't disagree. I'd love to see, Todd, department head level with a, an appropriate increase in hours and base salary. I think that's going to be a really tough pill to swallow with a huge increase all at once. Especially given that a lot of the extra hours this in the since COVID started has been reimbursable through the CARES Act and like that. I think that's where it's going to hit a dead end. So just being realistic on it. Do we
like
ask for it and then
future,
go down from there? That's where I'm at.
Okay, I can agree with that. Meeting somewhere in the middle. It will give us time going into the fall meeting also to, number one, create a job description, and number two, get them a contract. When those two things happen, I think we have a better shot of increasing it to where we want to be. If not for the fall meeting, perhaps even next fiscal year. But, I can understand the point that being just about the lowest paid with the duties and responsibilities, but I would agree at this time to go 5% or whatever the opinion. I think you guys are out there right now, so, but I could live with that. Over.
what does that roughly come out with? Can you do the math real quick, Todd?
Say it again, sorry.
What's the math on that? Real quick. Roughly.
Yeah, well, that's what the formula right now. If you're looking at the screen,
Yeah.
right there, I just threw in $40 an hour times 30 hours. So obviously that's I change it to $39 an hour. Like say I would be at 37.
But what I was trying to say, you're at 36.31 times.
Right now, a 2% increase would be
So
37.
5% would be 38.13. Roughly, the math that I did real quick.
Yeah, it comes out to 4.38%.
Yeah, and you have 35 hours?
No, that was 28 hours.
Yeah, do 35 hours.
30%?
Do you want to leave it at the 5% at the 35 hours? Again,
Because-
just knowing that some of those hours are out of stormwater or, for stormwater related purposes.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, if you go from 28 to 35 hours, that's a 25% increase in my hours. So that'll be a 25% increase in my pay just by increasing my hours.
And I think that'll be important going to the finance committee and the selectmen, just noting, this isn't a raise just on the pay. It's a increase on the hours. So.
Yeah, and then we can obviously demonstrate what the overtime already is and your job duties. It's not like this is real work. So.
Well, we got to remember the finance committee only makes recommendations. If we get the board of selectmen behind us and we give a good presentation, I think it can happen.
I mean, personally, I think I'd rather a higher hourly rate than less hours, but
we're trying to identify the need as well.
Right.
So, because you could get paid $100 an hour, but if you're burnt out, what's the point?
Let's gonna leave that line as it is right now, Kevin. You all right with that?
Yeah, I just don't,
so the formula's up here, 3813. There's 52 weeks plus 1 day, so that's why it's 52 and a quarter and 35 hours in a week. The $800 is my education stipend for having a bachelor's degree.
okay. Alrighty,
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a problem with additional hours if he's willing to accept it.
no,
Additional
and I think,
hours.
yeah, and I think everybody's identified how busy it is, so,
Right. The salary would be
yeah.
tough to toss up, but, you know. I think that's reasonable, actually, but
Nope, go before I move on to the next line.
I think that,
Hi, Kevin. Good.
I don't have anything else on that.
Okay. Food inspector, that's not, oh, where'd we go? All right. One, two, 519, administration.
All right, so 519 is same idea. We level funded most of these things in the middle here, the training, professional and technical, communications, office, travel. Office supplies, historically, we've spent more than the $500 that we had budgeted. So this year, the thought was to put in like $1,200. Obviously, that's a number we can talk about. Everything else for the overtime hours stayed the same. The town nurse, we gave her a 2% raise. The office manager, what you see in there is a 2% raise. And a 2% raise for the chairman and the members of the Board of Health. That's what you're seeing right here. The only reason it's 1.96 is rounding in there when you see the 1.96 over here for the decrease. I will say the same thing goes for the office manager as myself, is she is also working more duties that are above and beyond what is normally expected of her. And I'm not just talking about contact tracing. We've been doing a lot of stuff here with trying to run the transfer station, doing budgeting, writing contracts, just a lot of stuff. And so I think she's working beyond where she should be. And I would push that she be raised in the grade level from, she's currently a grade 6, and see if we can push her up to a grade 7 or 8 in the union. I don't know how that works necessarily, but again, these are my opinions. Because I see what she does. I'm the one that asks her to work above her level, and she rises to what I expect of her every time. So, but again, what you're seeing here in the budget right now represents a 2% raise.
You want me to jump in first?
I was just gonna say, on her line is going to be a union-related issue. So just wanted to put that out there first.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, so when it comes to the office manager, I would agree. She's been with us since the beginning, and she's a very important part of what we do. And I think it would better suit our department if she was more of in that administrative role. whatever that comes out to a salary, whether they decide the union, if it was a 7 or 8, depending on, we could go, whatever they decided, we'd have to put that in our budget. I don't know what the next step would be for Roz to actually, if she's willing to do this, go to the union and say, I don't know, the next step to sit down with them and say, hey, on the recommendation of my board, if the board feels that way, we're looking to increase this step and job duties. We could put it as a 7 first in our budget. And if they decided, no, she's gonna go right to an 8, then we would have to adjust it. Go back to the town meeting with an article and say, whatever it is, transfer funds, do something to adjust that, or at least prepare for that in the event that she goes before that, the union and gets that grade increase.
They're gonna have to get in the budget this round. If we're talking a grade 8 or 7, we should consider I'm fine with a grade 7. A grade 8, I think we'd have to get the general job description, duties and responsibilities of what constitutes a grade 8 or a grade 7. But if we think, what is the difference between 8 and 7 annually or hourly? It doesn't make any difference.
So for Roz to go to a grade 7 would be over what she's going to be making with the 2% raise. It would be a $2.30 increase above it. A grade 8 would be $5.60 above it. So to go up to a grade 7 would be approximately $4,200. The grade 8 would be about $10,400 over what she would be making in 2022 with the 2% raise.
I don't think you're going to be able to get a grade 8. I know I've been advocating for the better part of 6-7 years for a grade 7. We see where that's gotten us. So I think a grade 8 would be very difficult. I think a grade 7 right now may be achievable.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we could put that in the budget and then make the recommendations to, again, I'm not sure the whole procedure, but then get her in front of the union to change that.
So I'd say just put in for a grade 7 right now, and if they kick it back and it does go through, then it'll just have to be a special article with retro pay come the fall town meeting.
Let's not forget the position would have to be posted if it
Correct.
stays in the union.
Correct.
Correct, yep.
But we've managed to, get some highly qualified people as Roz, and it would probably go in-house. So with the duties and responsibilities, we would have to see what happens.
I think with the union, it has to be advertised within house, and if nobody applies from in-house, then it goes outside. But if there's applicants in-house, then that's where it stays.
All right, so do we agree that grade 7, or at least attempt to get to a grade 7?
I think that's a good start.
So I put those numbers in there. You'll see our budget down the bottom. The department total line would be $5,000 increase over last year's budget.
Anything else, Tom or Kevin?
We have somebody else joining us right now.
I just wondered, do we need a motion on the hours and salary of both?
I think we can probably just make the full motion with the full budget.
With the
when we-
budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
All right, nothing else, and we'll move on to the last one, which is the waste collection disposal 433.
Just one point of order. We have an iPhone that Joyce joined us. If that person could identify themselves. Oh, they're gone. Never
Oh, yeah,
mind.
telemarketer.
Well, they were in the waiting room waiting.
Oh.
I don't think anything's changed on this since we last reviewed it at our last meeting, did it?
The only highlights of it is the hired equipment. Every year we seem to need to rent a tub grinder,
Oh,
and
you're
we're always
correct.
short, so that number goes to 4,000, which is a $3,000 increase. The rubbish collection numbers and recycling, CMAS, all that stuff is based on tonnage. What we've been seeing is an increase in tonnage since people have been working from home, which we expect to continue for a little while here. I think even if people can go back to work, I still think there's gonna be more people working from home. And budgeting wise, I think we have to account for it. So that's why these numbers, you can see they're all much higher than they were last year. Hazmat disposal fee is higher because our household hazardous waste day and the disposal of all the stuff that we have, which again has increased dramatically since COVID has started. That's why we want that extra money, because I think we're going to need another household hazardous waste day next year, which will cost about $10,000. The rest of the stuff is generally the same thing. The trash bulky trash, all this is based on the increased tonnages. Same thing for trash bags. We know we need to buy more trash bags than we did last year because we're selling more of them. On the flip side, because we went up with the price of the trash bags, we are expecting an increase in revenue for trash. If you look at down here at the bottom number from last year, it was 675. That's the orange column, and it's 749 now. That's an increase in whatever that is, 75,000. But the increase in trash bag sales is like 80,000 or 90,000 over last year. So the increased costs are offset by the increase in revenue, which we saw this coming, and that's why we raised the prices in June.
Didn't we talk about making?
Oh, one other thing here. So the landfill attendant, I'm not sure where the numbers were from last year's budget, but when I throw in a 2% increase, it comes to 82,226. But what happens is we talked about adding an extra hour to the day, and if we add that extra hour in at the day at his rate plus 2%, it still comes only to $8,053, which is less than what we even had in fiscal year 21. So we can increase, give him a 2% raise, open an hour earlier on Saturdays, and we're still basically 2% raise for the line. So I know the board talked about it, and we wanted to talk to Mr. Rhines, who's the attendant up there now, and he's amenable to that extra hour on Saturdays.
Nice.
I'm good with that. Kevin, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, I know
He's okay
it's
with
not on
that.
the agenda, but didn't we talk about an enterprise fund?
That would have to be a town meeting article, Kevin.
Yeah, because we
for a
talked about it.
revolving account for the
We're
transfer
not thinking of,
station.
okay.
Anything else on the waste collection disposal?
I don't have any more comments.
Kevin?
Nope.
All right. That's our total budget for the Board of Health, and I would entertain a motion to submit as discussed and printed the budgets 510, 519, 433 to the Selectmen and Finance Committee for review.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
For everybody's edification, this is a summary sheet, which is totaling from all the other spreadsheets. As we change numbers, they change here automatically. So you'll see the total budget for the Board of Health, not counting stormwater and emergency prep. We're breaking the 900,000 mark, but it's an 11.68% increase over last year. Like say 10% of that is effectively the trash disposal costs that are incurred. So, because that's the obviously 749,000 in trash compared to 150,000 in salaries.
All right. Moving on to old business. Review, discuss, and act for COVID-19 updates, including contact tracing the grants, schools, sports, and town offices. One, I'll just quick start with vaccine while you're getting your stuff squared away, Todd. The state announced that as of Monday, February 1st, phase 2 begins under the first priority, which is those who are 75 years of age and older. And of course, it's also retroactive to anyone that's under phase 1. Please know that there is a shortage, if you will, of COVID vaccine in the state. They are working very hard to get more. And at this time, at least for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for towns to get any of the vaccine. The state is recommending everybody that is eligible to go on to the state's COVID-19 vaccine webpage. They can find state locations where they can sign up for an appointment to get vaccinated. I believe the closest mass vaccination site here would be Gillette to Dayton, would be the Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. And I'm not sure where they're at with appointments, but I know that anyone that's eligible under phase 2 priority 1 can sign up. I believe it was as of last night or this morning at that location. And with that, I'll turn it over to Todd.
Hold on. All right, so as you know, the office manager and I took on contact tracing because back in, this is a spreadsheet we did for COVID-19 positive cases by week. The numbers started to climb in November, and that's when we reached out and said, hey, let's jump in and start doing this. So in the beginning of December, we started contact tracing. These are the number of cases you see per week here in yellow. You'll see that obviously the number went very high right after a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, dropped a little bit, went back up a couple weeks after Christmas. We are now seeing it start to drop off. You'll see that since December 3rd, we've had approximately 80% of the cases of COVID come in. We're at about 6% of the population of Dayton has gotten COVID so far. So it's pretty substantial. We've had 6 deaths in town also, which is a very sad number. And a lot of people, I think, know people that have been either very sick and been in the hospital. We've had a lot of people that have had the pneumonia, the COVID pneumonia, been in the hospital. And it's been kind of sad to have to hear these people's stories and then follow them through, and doesn't always have a happy ending. But anyhow, yeah, we've had 147 cases so far this year in 2021, and yeah, we're only 1 month in, but the numbers are starting to come down. But I feel like we're making a difference. We spend a lot of time on the phone talking to people. I'd like to think it's working and it's helping, and we're still not relying on CTC. One of the big problems we're having is a lot of people going to Rhode Island to get tested, and it's taking 9 to 13 days for those results to pop up into our system. So by the time we're calling them, they're already through with their isolation, so it's making it rather difficult. But other than that, that's all I have to say on the contact tracing for now. If anybody has any questions on that, I can pause.
I do not. Kevin?
I just want to say good work, guys.
All right. We'll move on to schools. Schools, we've been starting a new thing. We now, once a week, are having a conference call with all the school nurses and basically going down all the cases and the kids and which ones are in quarantine, which ones are in isolation, which ones have been released. And it's been very productive. And it's very helpful for all involved, because sometimes there's been a couple kids where the phone number was for the grandmother or something and we weren't reaching, and they had a different phone number for the child that was more appropriate, and we were able to get information and contact trace them appropriately. So we've been able to follow that. Sports is still ongoing in school. They've had a couple little blips, but nothing dramatic, shall we say. We've had a few cases in town hall at in different departments and such, but those were able to be set aside before they were able to contaminate others. And I lost my agenda again. I don't know why. Sports, schools, town offices. Oh, so grants, obviously the CARES grant's been extended to the end of December of this year, which we all know. We're hoping to find out about vaccines and find out if there's grant money out there to start doing that. Obviously, we've been preparing for how to do mass vaccinations for 15 years around here. And it's just a matter of, all right, how is it going to work? We're still waiting for information. At this point, what we're doing is when somebody calls into the office and says, hey, how do I get vaccinated? We ask them for their name and number and their age, and we'll call them back when we have better information. But obviously, there are some mass sites out there, and people can go to those if they'd like. But yeah, that's all I have for now.
Hey, Todd, I haven't been able to sit in those weekly calls, the Tuesdays and the Fridays. But we do have these things in place, the dispensing sites, and we, is there talk of this? That we're gonna do it?
So right now in phase 1 and now early phase 2, we're dealing with very small portions of the population. And right now, that's how they're doing it. I would anticipate they're going to put more pressure on the towns when we start to get into trying to do 4,000 people in Dayton, say, as opposed to just 200 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be coming because it's the quickest way to get the vaccine out, but we haven't had much more than hints of it coming. And they said next week we're supposed to get better information on it. And I think the 4th, we have a webinar at like 10 and 11 to discuss it. And Matt, you might know better about some of that, but we're anticipating more information to be coming soon.
Because it's funny, we did all that training
Yeah, Kevin,
and we're
they
ready.
started in December and early January, really pushing hard for towns to do vaccinations. Then they kind of the state pulled back a little bit, and made it more of, they don't want towns doing it if they're able to set up clinics, mass clinics for the duration of the vaccinating plan. And now the biggest issue is the fact that the state doesn't have the vaccine in a quantity enough to be able to get it out. So the state has set up the mass vaccination sites, and I think they're starting to push pharmacies now to start doing clinics. And I feel by them doing that, it's going to be taking responsibility away from the towns as they had initially planned. Not to say that towns may not be responsible for doing some clinics here and there, maybe special populations, things like that. But for the majority, I think the state is going to start pushing the larger sites that the state sets up, as well as pharmacies. That, of course, is how they've been doing the flu vaccine for over a decade. It's really pushing primary care and pharmacies. So I think we're going to start to see that now with the COVID vaccine.
It makes sense because you have more control that way.
I can probably add a little bit to that. We had a emergency preparedness meeting last week, and we also have upcoming February 3rd and February 17th. And that was our main topic of discussion, whether we were going to, is my thinking all right? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, and whether we were going to move forward with doing a vaccination within our town. In light of the last notice that came out from FEMA, it may be possible because of if they can give us some upfront money to get started instead of waiting. The funding was the issue. But going forward, there may be some good news for us so we can get some of this accomplished. So we can bring you up to speed after that, those 2 meetings. Over.
Kevin, I think a big issue is the fact that, you know, the EDS sites were originally set up for, you know, a quick dispensing of, you know, single vaccine, single medication. You know, it's ours is at the school,
Yeah,
and
like
the problem we
anthrax or
have is,
something.
you know, we don't have 8,000 doses of vaccine we can get out in a matter of a week or two. You know, it's we're slowly, if we get vaccines, it's going to be slowly rolled out with small amounts, you know, over the course of several months. And everybody has to come back for a second dose. So just, I mean, to try and tell the school, oh, sorry, you got to close now for the next 6 months so we get, you know, set up a clinic for vaccine. I think that's a big issue. But we'll see as it plays out. Like I said, I see the town's role with vaccinations slowly decreasing as we move on, but time will tell.
Yeah, one of the things, and I'm kind of hopeful that this will happen, is that we partner with 1 or 2 of the local pharmacies. Once they've met their obligation, perhaps we could partner with them and we'll give them the space and they give us the staff necessary to do it. So that's another thing that's up in the air with us. But it will be a lot of work no matter what direction we choose.
Anything else before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Public input. I don't see anyone else on. Inspectors reports. Todd?
Yep. COVID. Pretty much what we do most of the time around here. We created our own type of system. We finally got a system that's working. We tweaked it several times and we're in a good place now. We tend to call people in the afternoons, take all the data, and then enter it all in the mornings. Every day we have a conference call with our nurse, you know, the Dighton nurse, and go over any problems we've had. Anytime we have issues, we reach out to her and she gets right back to us. So we're able to keep things moving. But yeah, that's still there. It's never going away. And perk tests have got a few more repairs have come in. New construction, right now we're not scheduling any, but it's so wet in the ground right now that new construction perks aren't exactly the best idea. So it's actually kind of working for us. You know, the snow was nice. We were able to kind of get caught up on a lot of paperwork, but there's always a lot to do. Right now we're going into obviously budget season. We have the retrack reporting for the recycling, the MS4 permits rolling around again. So there's always stuff to be done. And obviously trash is, we got to consider what we're going to be doing with that long term. And that's something that we need to pick up in a meeting once we kind of get past some of this other bigger stuff. We need to be kicking that can around. And but otherwise, we're holding our own over here and we seem to be okay.
Very good. I don't believe Jim is on. Any correspondence?
No.
No. All right. Approval of the minutes for November 4th, 2020 and December 10th, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes of November 4, 2020 and December 10th, 2020.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? These minutes are approved. Anything else before we adjourn?
I had one thing. I'm not sure when it's a good time to start going over those tobacco regulations. I know we kind of put it on hold.
We can think about putting it on the agenda for February.
And we
Yeah,
can pick
I'll-
up to see where we're at and then where we want to go with it. Yeah,
'Cause I
we
know
can do
we,
that.
we started up and then we kind of,
Got distracted?
yeah, COVID.
But yeah, they're still sitting on my desk. I know right where they are. But we'll put it on the agenda for February and then we'll see where we want to pick it, where we want to go with it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's acceptable with you guys, just to at least
That's fine.
revisit it, and then we could always table it and at least discuss it again.
That's fine. Anything else? Tom,
No, all set, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
All right, motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
All right.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:13. And thank you and have a good night.